Jodi Arias and Travis Alexander's volatile relationship began in 2006. The blonde bombshell met Alexander at a work convention in Las Vegas, and the two quickly hit it off. In the days after their first meeting each other, Arias broke up with her boyfriend of 4 years in order to pursue her steamy connection with Alexander. The two dated intermittently, often by long-distance relationship, as Arias lived in California and Alexander lived in Arizona. Trying to be Alexander's perfect fit, Arias converted to his faith of Mormonism and was officially baptized into the Church of the Latter-day Saints a few months after the two met. Alexander's friends thought negatively of Arias, stating that her behavior had been worrisome to them. In early 2008, Alexander told his friends that he would bring Arias with him to a work-related trip in Cancun scheduled for June. However, in the months leading up to the trip, Alexander asked if he could change his original companion of Arias to a different female friend. Jealousy and outrage filled Arias for this sudden change of plans. And on June 9, 2008, Alexander was found dead in a shower of his Mesa, Arizona home, drenched in a pool of blood. He suffered up to 29 stab wounds, a slit throat, and a gunshot wound to the head. All eyes turned to Arias, but she gave several different accounts of her days leading up to the murder to try and proclaim her innocence. The murder quickly turned into a public spectacle that captivated the nation.
I can't tell whether she's having an orgasm or not.
Sex.
When he began to remove your clothing, was that then surprising to you?
It was a little surprising, but I was going with it.
Deceit.
This is an individual who will stop at nothing and will continue to be manipulative and will lie at every turn and at every occasion that she has.
Revenge.
As soon as I got in there and began to run, I remembered where he kept the gun. I grabbed the gun. I ran out of the closet.
Power.
But I felt a little bit used.
Arias was a jealous ex-girlfriend that sought her revenge and the untimely death of the man she once loved. Was she a disturbed or sick woman, or could jealousy be so powerful that it could lead to murder?
He knows our name in the age of voices.
June 4th, 2008, we know that Travis Alexander was killed in his Mesa, Arizona home. So what led up to that? That morning, in other words, late the previous night, at 1 in the morning to 3 in the morning, there was several calls that Travis did not answer. At 4 a.m., he actually calls Arias back, and there's a couple conversations of which there was no stated conclusion or content. We just know that those took place. That same day, Arias showed up at the house. So we know that she was there by 1 o'clock in the afternoon because they were engaging in sexual acts in the Mesa, Arizona home. Now, how do we know that? Well, the camera that they used to actually record their sexual exploits was recovered later at the crime scene, and it was time and date stamped. We also know that at 5:27 p.m., late afternoon, early evening, Travis Alexander's in the shower. How do we know that? Because Jodi Arias and/or the suspect that killed him photographed him in the shower and lying at the bottom of the shower in a pool of blood. So we know that that is the time of death. Now you have to go backward as a detective and go, who is available, who's the suspect? Well, there was always only one suspect. There was no forced entry into the house, there was no ransacking, there was no evidence of any other crime whatsoever, except for the presence of a woman, the partial cleanup of the crime scene, and then where was Jodi Arias? So if we go to the crime scene, we have blood transfer on the wall that had both Jodi Arias's blood type and DNA and Travis Alexander. The bedding in the house was put into the washing machine, as was the camera that was used to actually record their sexual acts that late afternoon. I suspect that the camera was just on the bed and she just bundled up the bedding and threw it in the washing machine, not realizing the camera was actually there. She didn't put it in the washing machine to destroy the evidence. So now going to the murder, what did the wounds on Alexander actually tell us? The first 7 to 9 wounds, Travis Alexander was facing away from his assailant. In other words, he was facing the wall opposite to the door of the shower, and it was a fairly small shower. And the first 7 to 9 wounds, none of which were lethal, entered his back. He turns around and the attack continues. He has defensive wounds on his hands, wrists, forearms, and she also has some cuts to her hand, not as extreme, but obviously she actually cut herself in the attack on Travis. Eventually, Travis starts to lose the battle here, and at a certain point, he slumps down in the shower, and Jodi Arias cuts his throat, almost to the point of decapitation, severing the vena cava, the aorta, and the carotid arteries. Just that wound there would have been seconds and he's dead. So now you would think that this is complete. But she takes a .25 automatic pistol and shoots him in the head, which the medical examiner thought could be post-mortem or paramortem, in other words, close to death or after death. Then Jodi Arias leaves the house and attends a convention in Salt Lake City that one of her co-workers or co-attendees sees that she has changed her hair color from blonde to dark brown black and that she has cuts on her hand. So now when the detectives are engaged in this, they have friends that actually find Travis Alexander at his house, and the whole investigation starts. And of course, everybody says, you know, he was worried about this crazy woman he'd been dating. She's been stalking him. You know, she's dangerous, she's crazy. And so they pursue her. When they finally investigate Jodi Arias, they find that her attempt at covering up a crime, a premeditated crime, actually laid out their entire case. She lived in Wairika with her grandparents. Before she leaves, she burglarizes her grandparents' home and steals a .25 auto Colt pistol, the one pistol that nobody on the planet would use for a homicide. So Jodi Arias, before she leaves her grandparents' home, which is where she lived in Wairika, she steals a .25 auto from her grandparents. That weapon has never been found, although a .25 caliber automatic casing was found at the Alexander homicide. It's interesting, many times suspects with an automatic cannot find the casing. It's not that they didn't look for it, they just can't find it because they don't know where the weapon actually ejected it and where it landed. So whether she tried to find it or she didn't is irrelevant. You have a .25 caliber weapon missing from her grandparents, a burglary just before she left, and there's a .25 caliber used in the Alexander homicide. So she, in her planning, goes to Redding. She rents a car, telling them, I'm going to drive to Arizona and I'll bring it back here. So she's going to return it to the very place that she rented it, and she does. But on the way, she buys 5-gallon gas cans and fills them up, thinking that if she just uses gas cans to fill up the gas tank, She won't have to stop at gas stations or use a credit card or cash or be on a surveillance camera that would actually place her closer or at the scene in Mesa.
You used the gas cans, didn't you?
I don't remember.
You don't remember, you do remember putting gas, but you don't remember what the method of delivery was?
I don't remember putting gas. I'm presuming I did.
So she paid for it whether it's cash or not. They're gonna figure out exactly what she did. And the crazy behavior is she's not stopping at even a rest stop. She's peeing on the side of the road. And all this crazy behavior, and she gets to Mesa, Arizona, and it's a total premeditated crime. She brought a murder weapon. She thought about her trip there, her escape, her alibi, her appearance at a conference, completely acting normal at the conference, or as normal as Jodi Arias could act. So it's a total premeditated crime. There's circumstantial evidence and there's direct evidence. Well, if you can imagine, circumstantial evidence is something that's inferred that could be fact and you use a judgment on it. Direct evidence is something that is stated. Somebody testified, I saw that man shoot him. I saw him rob the bank. Or they confess. Or there's a videotape of the murder. Well, in this case, we've got kind of a borderline between circumstantial and direct. We have camera with pictures that are date and time stamped, first of a sex act between Jodi Arias, the suspect, and the victim, Travis Alexander. And that continues from late afternoon until Travis Alexander gets in the shower. Somebody has to hold the camera to take a picture of him in the shower showering. Somebody has to take a picture of him that's dead at the bottom of the shower. The only person that is with him is Jodi Arias. So either Jodi Arias is a witness to the homicide or she's the murderer. Well, she didn't choose to be a witness, she's the murderer. So she's got the cut on the hands, she has the erratic behavior, the burglary of a 25 auto, I mean, all these things. Everything flowed into one giant story of which totally makes sense to a detective and made no sense to her as far as prosecution. Initially, she claimed that she was actually a victim, that he abused her.
He lifted me up as he was screaming that I was a stupid idiot, and he body slammed me again on the tile.
And, you know, early on in the relationship, when, you know, he was a Mormon, do we know if he asked her to actually be baptized in his church? No. We don't know that. It could have been a form of control of hers that if I do this, I am showing him something that now I can control him more by allowing him to let me inside another part of his life. She claimed that because of the doctrine of Mormonism that you cannot have sex before marriage, that Travis supposedly said, well, we have to have anal sex and oral sex because we can't have vaginal sex. That's crazy. Did it come from Travis? I don't believe so. This is Jodi Arias making her some kind of abused sex toy that he controlled her and he demeaned her and he assaulted her, but she had no bruises on her body, old or new. She had no bruises on her body from the altercation. She had some cuts of which she inflicted on herself by actually trying to hold, grab, and stab him, and they were fighting over a knife. Initially, she didn't know who did it. It wasn't her.
How many times was Travis stabbed?
Then the second stage is she's confronted with evidence, well, then I'm a victim, I was just defending myself. When they confront her with the evidence that that's impossible, you didn't defend yourself, the first 7 to 9 wounds were in his back. So then the camera supported that because she's got the camera. She had to take the picture. She's the only one there. Once she says she's defending herself, now she's put herself at the crime scene. They can forensically put her at the crime scene, and forensically they can actually trap that timestamp because it's blood of both of them. If it's just one person's blood, I cut my finger. That's one thing. If you have a mix of two bloods on a smear at a crime scene where you have a victim, then that person was present at the same time. When you look at Jodi Arias, I mean, the first thing is she was a chameleon in so much as she was flirtatious and sexual, good-looking, nice body, and she kind of broke down the defenses of Travis Alexander by basically saying, doing, and allowing him to see what he wanted to see and hear what he wanted to hear. So that probably got her in the door. But I think the question is, was she really pursuing a relationship? And had Travis Alexander never gone out with anybody else or canceled a trip to Cancun with her, would it have escalated to this point? I think eventually, yes, because there was something in Jodi Arias that was very twisted. Narcissist, they describe her as a malignant narcissist.
You should at least done your makeup, Jodi. Gosh.
This is somebody that is going into different disorders that are probably varied and overlapping with Jodi Arias. I am no psychologist, but certainly nothing in society, the rules of society seem to apply to her.
This is a really trivial question, and it's going to reveal how shallow I am. But before they book me, can I clean myself up a little bit?
She was a narcissist that only cared about herself. She had no conscience. She felt no guilt. She had no problem lying. She had no problem manipulating. I mean, there was multiple personality disorders here. And I don't think anybody's ever gonna know exactly how many, because I think she is the controlling type person that actually enjoys the attention just as much as she enjoyed the attention in the courtroom. And I think she continues to do that. Her attorney that defended her, a court-appointed attorney that defended her, quit practicing law because of her. He said, I want no more part of anything to do with any people like this. You kind of wonder why somebody doesn't plead insanity when they're clearly crazy. But they're not crazy. The legal standard for insanity is, do you know the difference between right and wrong? Well, you don't ask somebody, do you know the difference between right and wrong? Their conduct can tell you if they know the difference between right and wrong. If they lie about an incident or claim their innocence or say they weren't there, what is the reason for that? Do they know the difference between right and wrong?
Ma'am, were you crying when you were shooting him?
I don't remember.
Were you crying when you were stabbing him?
I don't remember.
How about when you cut his throat? Were you crying then?
I don't know.
If they are confronted about something like murder, they said, well, I didn't do that. Well, they're defending themselves in a way that shows that there's a fear of being caught, or they know it's wrong and they know everybody around them knows it's wrong. No matter why they did it, they try to conceal it. They're not insane. They have a mental defect. If you're going to claim what Jodi Arias did is proof of insanity, then you have to take every gang member in prison and let them plead insanity, because they actually commit the same level of homicides for nothing more than somebody was on their street. Somebody was selling drugs on a corner that they control. Somebody ripped them off for a half pound of cocaine. I mean, you can go on and on. Insanity is the difference between right and wrong. Look at all the serial killers. I mean, the difference between right and wrong? Serial killers are not getting off because of insanity. Whether it's a Unabomber, Green River Killer, BTK, Ted Bundy, nobody's getting off because of insanity. Why? Because they commit crimes and they try to conceal it, hide it, They actually manipulate law enforcement. That shows they know the difference between right and wrong.
What factors influence your having a memory problem?
Usually when men like you are screaming at me or grilling me, or someone like Travis doing the same.
So that affects your memory problems, right?
It does. It makes my brain scramble.
Well, when it came to trial, Jodi Arias, no doubt, knew that she will never see the light of day again at the very least. And this was a time for Jodi Arias to be on stage. Now, unfortunately, the rest of the country are nothing more than voyeurists. The more graphic, the more salacious, the better they like it, the more they're going to tune in. Jodi Arias claimed everything, and nobody was there to dispute her. Travis Alexander was dead.
Didn't you tell us, involving the finger, that this injury to your left finger, when Mr. Alexander went to kick you, that happened on January 22nd of 2008?
Yes, it did.
And yet you write here that nothing noteworthy has happened, right?
Yes.
He liked child pornography. He wanted anal sex. He beat me. He strangled me. He threatened me. Well, none of that was true. None of it. If it was true, the defense would have marched in every other girlfriend he had to describe it. None of it happened. This was Jodi Arias on stage.
I thought you said the relationship with Mr. Alexander was very stressful.
Some of the sex wasn't.
Pardon?
Some of the sex wasn't.
So you did enjoy the sex then, is that what you're telling me?
At times I did.
She was on the stand testifying for 9 days. That's 72 hours. That is the longest time a defendant's been on the stand in the history of our court system. That's crazy. She is crazy, but she knows the difference between right and wrong. And it just made a spectacle. It was entertainment. I found it to be somewhat of a joke at a point. It's like, why are we listening to this raving maniac? This crazy person up here doing nothing more than making fools of us.
Do you have problems with your memory, man?
Sometimes.
So you can tell us, for example, what kind of coffee you bought at Starbucks back on June 3rd of 2008, but you can't tell us what you said yesterday or the day before?
I always got the same drink at Starbucks.
We have to listen to this cartoon character. That's what she was doing. She was enjoying herself. Like I said, her attorney, after dealing with Jodi Arias, left the practice of law. I saw a documentary on it. He's still disturbed by it. The irony is, in prison, the prison actually gives this idiot a computer, and she has fans, and she gets to exchange information and even talk to them on the phone. I have no idea why we allow people like this access to actually victimize more people. And you can still victimize people from prison, and she does. Where do we come full circle on this? We look at Jodi Arias, kind of unique. It's usually the boyfriend that pursues the ex-girlfriend, ex-wife, the one that has a relationship with somebody else that ends up killing him. In this fashion, not usually. I mean, this was extreme, premeditated, sloppy, crazy. But what is the motivation? Is it jealousy? Well, I think that Jodi Arias certainly had an undiagnosed mental defect that runs deep and long that we'll never know just how bad it is. But did jealousy trip it? Was that a quality that she had, that she has this mental condition, but then jealousy is something that just sets her off? It's that one little tripwire that just makes her absolutely crazy. Well, to me, jealousy is kind of a wasted emotion. You can't control another person. You can only allow them to be into your life, and if they don't want to be, there's really nothing you can do about it. Well, some people think that the old thing, if I can't have them, nobody can. So jealousy to the extreme will always escalate to a point, maybe not to murder, but it will destroy people.